Armin, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello, I hope you stick around. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm back, finally. It's been a while. I've been in a huge, just life slump lately, so I have not been filming. I've, barely been reading. I've just been rereading old books, which I will get to. One of them is in this video. But since it is the middle of summer, and it's 100 degrees outside, which, by the way, I live in Texas, so it's never not 100 degrees outside. Which sucks for me because I love the cold. But anyways, it's hot, it's summer. I thought, why not make a summer recommendations video? Summer reads just make you feel a little bit better about this season that we pretend to enjoy only because we have an excuse to sit around and do nothing, I suppose, if you're not working, because if you're working, then I'm sorry. For those of us in school and not really doing much else, summer is the longest break, at least in the US, and so I thought, why not give some summer book recs to get us through this time. So the very first book I want to recommend is called We Were Liars, and it follows a family called the Sinclairs who every summer go to live on their private island because they're rich and fancy and they have a private island. But not everything is as it seems. There is a very big mystery plot twist at the heart of this novel, and it is not your average beach read. I don't want to say much else because I don't want to spoil anything at all, but I'm just gonna say I did not expect to love this book as much as I did. I literally picked it up with no expectations. I thought it was just gonna be another one of those books I would forget immediately after reading, but it was not. I want to forget what happens in this book just so I can read it all over again and experience those plot twists, because you won't know what hit you, and it's just so good. If you have not read this book, just settle down, get ready to have your mind blown and read this book. The second book I want to recommend is actually part of a series which I have just finished rereading, so it's a personal favorite. If you haven't read it, what are you doing? I know it's a middle grade, but get on this and read it because you're missing out on so much. But that is Percy Jackson. This is Percy Jackson Lightning Thieves, the first one, but it is a series of 5 books and part of a wider universe of books. I guess, and they're all really good, so you need to read Percy Jackson. Basically, it follows a Greek demigod, so a child of a god and a human, and it's very fun, very snarky. Each of these books pretty much takes place over a summer at this camp called Camp Half-Blood, which is a camp for half-bloods or demigods, and it is just so good and has a very special place in my heart, and I love it so much, and I forgot how much I loved this. I reread it just now. This month, all I've really been reading is Percy Jackson, and I think I'm going to reread a lot of the other books as well, but each one basically takes place over a summer, and it is very good if you haven't read this. So while we're on the topic of Greek myth retellings, the third book on this list is also a Greek myth retelling, and that is Circe by Madeline Miller. I love this book so much, and I already want to reread it, even though I literally just read it a few months ago. I'm probably gonna end up rereading it sometime soon, again, because I love it. It's not exactly a fun read, it'll probably tear your heart out a couple of times, just subtly, it's not intense, character death trauma type heart-wrenching, but it'll get to you and you won't even realize you're crying until you start crying. So I love it. It's not the most summery, but it's kind of a cottagecore vibe type thing, so I figured that counts, and I didn't have enough of those books to make another video about it, so I just stuck it in here. But I will never give up an opportunity to recommend Circe to somebody, so just read it. The next book on this list also takes place over the summer, and that is Clap When You Land. This has been getting a lot of hype recently, and for good reason, because it is so good. It follows 2 sisters who don't know of the other's existence until their father dies in a plane crash while he's going from one family to the next, because he has 2 families and neither of them knows about the other family. And so this kind of deals with the aftermath of that, and it is so good. It is so very well written, beautiful language. It's written in poetry, which is also amazing. I don't usually read that, but I want to read more now because it was just so good. And I haven't annotated this copy yet because I read the library copy and then I got this in the mail afterwards, but I'm gonna go through and add all my annotations to it. But anyways, it's so good, and the cover is so pretty, and the words are so pretty, and it's also set over the summer, and I read it over the summer, so that's why I put it on this list. You should read it. So the next book on this list is Looking for Alaska. I rave about this book all the time. Honestly, I know there's some criticisms about it. I don't know why I love it so much, but I think I just read it at all the right times. The most recent being on summer vacation last year, hence it is in this video, because now forever this book will just be like a summer book for me. It's not even that it really takes place in the summer. It is hot like for most of the book. I don't know, it's just like a fun summer read. Like if you go to the beach and you want something to make you cry, looking for Alaska. So the next two books on this list I don't actually have, so I'll just stick pictures up here. The first of which is The Alchemist. I know like everybody and their mom has heard of this book or read this book, but I don't know why it just like kind of sounds like summery to me, even though it's technically not even a summer book. It's sort of like a several years life journey type book, but it's short. It's got some cool life lessons. The cover looks summery themed, I suppose. And I really liked this book. I read it last year sometime, not even really in the summer, I don't think, but it was really good, and I think it's worth recommending. So yeah, if you want a short like life lesson book, The Alchemist. So the next book on this list is The Awakening. This was a summer reading assignment for high school. Why am I recommending this book, you ask? It was a fun time. It wasn't a very entertaining book in the sense that like I was hooked and trying to find out what happened every other page, but it was a fun time. Some wild stuff happens in this book. And if you want a wild classic, I guess you could read this book. I think it's like feminist and kind of like a make out with whoever you want type book. I'm probably spouting all of the wrong kinds of everything, but this book is summery for me, and I think it's a fun read, and it takes place over the summer, I believe, in New Orleans, because this family kind of goes down to New Orleans every summer. So yeah, I'm not gonna say much more on that, but if you're interested in that kind of stuff, you should read it. So the next book on this list is called Okay for Now by Gary Schmidt, and I did not expect to love this book as much as I did. It was actually very good. I don't like thinking about it too much because it makes me feel things, but I think it's like a coming-of-age story. I don't really know what else to say about it except that it was unexpectedly good. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did, and I didn't expect for it to make me feel a lot of feelings because like there's nothing really I could relate to about this book. It's literally like this kid in America in 1968. Like, of all the things that I could read about, like, this isn't one of the ones that I would have chosen. It's not even particularly, like, pretty for me, I guess, but it's good. It's a really good book, and you should read it, because it's, like, life lessons, I guess. Okay, moving on. Completely different. The next final book that I'm gonna recommend to you guys is called Words in Deep Blue. This is, like, the ultimate summer read for me. I bought it over the summer, I read it over the summer. It is set in the summer, I believe, and it follows this girl whose brother has just died, and she moves back to her old hometown and gets a job in a bookstore side by side with this guy that she used to like before she moved away. I have not read this in like 3 years, so forgive me if I'm getting the entire plot wrong. I'm just doing this off the top of my head. But basically, they start up a relationship, and they are kind of communicating through leaving letters in the books in this bookstore. And so they like write each other letters, and they leave them in the old books in the secondhand bookstore, and like that's how their relationship blooms, and it kind of deals with getting over grief and teenage relationships and loss and love and all that fun stuff. And it's not that long. You could read this in a day probably, and it's a fun read. I loved this book. Like, I didn't think I would love it. All of these books are just like unexpectedly loved books, but it's a very pretty cover and it's very good, and you should read it so I have somebody to talk about it with, because I don't know anybody who's read this book. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope my camera's not dead. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below telling me what you thought of all these books. If you've read any of them, if you plan on reading any of them, what did you think? Let me know what stuff. And don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this video, because I will be making new content hopefully soon once I'm over this filming slump. So I'll see you when I see you, but you should subscribe. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.